I just turned 71 years old last December. 71. And in all that time, all those years, I really had no contact, up close and personal contact with police. Um, Other than being a trucker and stopping by scales and maybe getting pulled over by state patrol to inspect my rig, uh, most of the time, all those contacts were cordial. Very nice officers doing their job. But at 69, going on 70, I got my very first up close encounter with police. And many of you will remember that was with the Guilford County Sheriff's Office here in Greensboro, North Carolina, where I was manhandled, thrown to the ground outside the county courthouse by two deputies, much larger than me. And after watching the video, their supervisors, Sheriff Danny Rogers and other supervisors, said that these officers were justified in doing that and treating me that way. Even though I was not a threat to them, I was just trying to leave the building as one of the officers told me to do, and I was just trying to leave. And when he asked me for my ID and I told him no, he got upset and he grabbed me, and another officer just jumped in. Deputy Jenkins of the Guilford County Sheriff's Department just jumped in and decided to manhandle me and throw me to the ground. Now, that was when I was just about ready to turn 70. All right? Now, fast forward here to a couple months ago, and I'm going to a U-Haul to help my friend get a trailer to go pick up some heavy equipment out in Raleigh, North Carolina. And when we parked there, I noticed two UNCG Greensboro police cars there. And when I get out of the car, there's officers talking to this fellow they have sitting on the sidewalk. And I stand there for a minute and think, oh, yeah, I stood, I don't know, must have been a minute, 2 minutes. And I thought, record the police, always record the police. Okay, so I take out my cell phone and I start recording them. And all of a sudden, they officers come at me from all directions. Sir, you got to move back. Well, I don't even think they said sir. Now, I have these body cam videos, which as soon as possible I'm going to release so you can see them. And remember, I am not a proficient First Amendment auditor. I'm just a guy who believes that if you should record the police because you're able to hold them accountable that way. When they do things wrong, and when they do those things wrong, they cost the taxpayers money. So when they look at you and they say, you don't have any business here. Yes, you do. You're a taxpayer. And if they do anything wrong there, it will cost you money one way or another. All right. So I wanted to go over some things that were on my mind today. And a couple of them are things that police officers do as a matter of habit that are unconstitutional, and they do it all the time. Now, police officers will pick the smallest things to pull you over or stop you and try and body search you. Not crossing in a crosswalk, not signaling within 100 feet of your turn, pulling out of a private driveway without stopping. Did you know you have to stop in a driveway before you pull down the road? You just can't drive out. You have to stop before you pull out into the. And these are all pretextual things that they want to stop you for to get you on something else. Well, anyway, uh, until I started doing all this, looking at all these videos of cop watchers and First Amendment, I wasn't aware of some of this stuff that we just like lambs do whatever the police ask you or tell you to do. And I didn't think I was a lamb, but, not knowing your rights under the Constitution that many, many Americans have died for, defending, police officers go through an academy, 6, 7 months, and then they come out here and then they get trained for another, 6, 7 months. And it never fails that they are not told what our basic constitutional rights are, or what they can do. And if they are, they get upset because your rights. So, for instance, did you know if you are a passenger in a car when it's stopped for a traffic infraction, you do not have to show your ID or identify yourself, okay? The driver was stopped for an infraction. The officer will look at you and say, I need your ID too, and you can deny that because you are not the person or the subject of that stop. And police will get mad at you for that, and they'll say, okay, I'm going to have you step out of the car. Well, you have to do that. I guess that's settled law. If the police officer tells you to step out of the car, you need to do that. But there are caveats to that, and one of them is that they need a valid legal reason to have you step out. And most of the time, they will say it's for officer safety, so you can't reach around the car and grab something or something like that. So that's one thing. One thing is that if you're a passenger in the car and the police require you to identify yourself, you don't have to. Now, I don't care if you're a convicted felon or if you're a felon on the run from police. If you're the passenger, you do not have to identify yourself. Okay? Other things are if you are approached on the street and they want to identify you for suspicious activity, okay? You hear it all the time. Suspicion is not a crime. People calling on you cannot be used as a credible argument for having reasonable cause to identify you. That's another thing. It's just like if you allow, and I know most people, they allow this stuff to happen because they just want to be good citizens, They want to help out the police. But others, like me probably, have this internal thing that I don't like people forcing authority on me. Okay, I haven't done anything wrong. I've lived, a long time, and I've tried to abide by all the laws. But when police don't learn what they're supposed to be learning and how to treat the public, that's a problem. Now, did you know that being handcuffed, every time a police officer stops you and they'll get you out of the car and immediately they'll want to put you in handcuffs. Do you know that's a violation of your civil rights under the First Amendment? They cannot just arbitrarily put you in handcuffs. They have to have an articulable reason that they believe you are armed, dangerous, or a flight risk to put you in handcuffs. Traffic encounters, when they tell you to get out of the car, you get out of the car. You're very cooperative, but they put you in handcuffs right away. No. That is unconstitutional. They cannot do that. And I see a lot of these First Amendment auditors allowing themselves to be handcuffed. It's a good thing. I mean, if you don't allow yourself and you start fighting, well, you're going to get yourself into more trouble. But the thing is, they'll keep doing it unless we, the people, and people like me, that grumpy old men, don't take them to court. and fight this. And I know a lot of people don't have the money to do something like that, okay? Now, I don't have the money either, but I got this strong, gritty old man attitude where I'm going to spend my life savings to make sure these officers find out that they're doing this wrong. Okay? So recently, at back in October, I was arrested by the UNCG Greensboro Police Department, basically by one Sergeant Jerry Smith. Okay, and I had another one just go berserk. Vernon, what's his name? Officer Vernon, Derek Vernon. And he just went ballistic on it. It's just like he's screaming his head off. And I've recently gotten their how they're supposed to behave themselves from the UNCG policies. And it's really amazing how they didn't follow any of those policies. But they put me in handcuffs. Now I wasn't a danger. I did not approach them. I did not yell at them while they were conversing with their subject. I just stood back and I was videoing, right? And so Sergeant Smith approaches me, and Derek Vernon approaches me, and another one, Brian Ferris. They all approach me. Now I'm like going three different directions. They're all yelling, saying different things to me, and you're confused. You don't know who you're responding to or why you're responding to them. And the sergeant, Jerry Smith, is supposed to de-escalate things. Well, he thinks that means he's got to control the subject of the other two officers and him approaching. He doesn't try to correct his officer that has walked into me and pushing me with his hands. He doesn't try and correct that or de-escalate that. No, it's me. It was my fault that all this is happening, okay? So anyway, he puts me in handcuffs. Now, that was a violation of my civil rights because I was not a danger to him. I was not under arrest. I was not even told I was detained, okay? And you don't know these things. And evidently, these cops don't know. They've got to follow some kind of due diligence. They charged me with having concealed weapons, two pocket knives, right? And they were tucked in a sheath and a Velcro with the Velcro cover over it on my belt, all right? Pocket knives in North Carolina, and as far as I know, nowhere in my entire life has a pocket knife been considered a concealed weapon. But they charged me with carrying a concealed weapon. Okay, so I looked that up under North Carolina law. It was very simple to look up. They could have looked it up, due diligence, to see that pocket knives, these are knives that are designed to fold up into their own body, designed to be carried in a purse or a handbag or your pocket. And I had it in a sheath on the side of my belt. And you could have looked it up very easy. They could have looked it up very easy and seen that was not a violation of law. But they charged me with it, okay? So all I'm trying to say, folks, if you're like me, you need to anytime you see police interaction, you need 3 officers, 3 in one stop violated my civil rights. Each one violated my civil rights independently. Okay, the one that put me in handcuffs too tight, unlawfully detained me, and the one that assaulted me, and the one that took my cell phone out of my hand before I was arrested. He did an unlawful seizure. Okay, so 3 officers independently at one time violated my civil rights, and I went in and I talked to their lieutenant, and their lieutenant, I asked him specifically, don't you know that pocket knives are not a concealed weapon? Oh, no, we cite people for that all the time. Excuse me? And I'm like, holy crap. Anyway, guys, I've been rambling on too long. But like I'm saying now, let another thing about for these First Amendment auditors is that when they handcuffed you as a just it's of course what they do. They want to get practice at handcuffing people, or they just do it now out of out of process. They pull you out, they pull you over, they make you stand still and put you in handcuffs for their safety. That is not lawful. That is a violation of your civil rights. All right. If you want to work on that, go for it. But I'll tell you what, anytime you are put in handcuffs unlawfully, file a complaint. At least that. If you're not going to sue them, file a complaint. Talk to you guys later. Thank you for listening.